Easy and Slow Storytelling with Satya Nadella. For years, Microsoft was seen as a finished story, a giant from the past, a company that had already won, and quietly stopped learning. When Satya Nadella became CEO, few expected a revival. Most expected stability, maintenance, slow decline. What followed surprised nearly everyone. Satya Nadella does not look like a disruptor. He is soft-spoken, careful with words, almost understated. Not the stereotype of a tech visionary. But that perception misses the point. Nadella is not a loud transformer. He is a deep one. Before Nadella, Microsoft was powerful but rigid. Its products were everywhere: Windows, Office, enterprise software. But internally, the company was fragmented. Teams competed instead of collaborating. Innovation was defensive. Protect Windows. Protect Office. Protect the past. That mindset created blind spots. Microsoft missed mobile. It underestimated search. It reacted slowly to cloud computing. Not because it lacked talent, but because it lacked humility. The company assumed leadership was permanent. And Nadella understood that assumption was fatal. Satya Nadella was born in India in 1967. He grew up with a love for engineering, but also for learning. He studied electrical engineering, then computer science, then business. His path was not about domination. It was about understanding systems, technology, organizations, and people. He joined Microsoft in 1992. Not as a star, not as a visionary, just another engineer. He spent decades inside the company, working on server tools, enterprise software, and eventually cloud infrastructure. He watched Microsoft from the inside, its strengths, and its deep flaws. When Nadella became CEO in 2014, Microsoft was still enormous. But it was losing relevance. Google dominated search. Apple defined consumer devices. Amazon owned the cloud narrative. Microsoft was profitable, but directionless. That was the real crisis. Nadella's first move was not technical. It was cultural. He spoke about empathy, about learning, about curiosity. Words that sounded soft in a hard industry. Many dismissed them as corporate language. But they became the foundation of everything else. Under Nadella, Microsoft stopped pretending it knew best. Windows was no longer the center of the universe. Office moved to other platforms. Even competitors. Linux was embraced. Open source was welcomed. Old rivalries were dropped. That shift was radical, even if it looked quiet from the outside. The cloud became the new core. Azure was no longer a side project. It was the future. Microsoft invested heavily, not just in infrastructure, but in trust, security, enterprise relationships. Azure didn't win by being flashy. It won by being reliable and deeply integrated into how businesses operate. At the same time, Nadella changed how success was measured, not by internal wins, but by customer outcomes. Teams were rewarded for collaboration, not turf protection. Failure was reframed, not as weakness, but as feedback. That changed how people behaved. One of Nadella's most important ideas was the growth mindset. The belief that abilities can be developed, that learning never stops. Inside Microsoft, this was revolutionary. For years, expertise had been a shield. Now it became a starting point. That shift unlocked innovation that had been dormant. Microsoft's acquisitions reflected this change. LinkedIn was not about social media. It was about data and professional identity. GitHub was not about control. It was about trust with developers. Activision Blizzard was not just gaming. It was about interactive platforms and long-term engagement. Each move fit a broader strategy. Financially, the results were dramatic. Microsoft's market value soared. Revenue diversified. Cloud became a dominant force. But Nadella rarely framed success in numbers. He talked about relevance, about impact, about enabling others to build. That language mattered. Critics argue Microsoft became too cautious, too enterprise-focused, not bold enough in consumer innovation. Others worry about overreach, regulation, market power, AI dominance. These concerns are real, and Nadella does not dismiss them. He speaks openly about responsibility and long-term consequences. Artificial intelligence is the next test. Microsoft's partnership with OpenAI signaled ambition, but also risk. AI is powerful and unpredictable. Nadella frames AI as a tool, not a replacement for human judgment. A way to amplify capability, not erase accountability. What makes Nadella different is not vision alone. It is restraint. He does not rush to declare victory. He avoids absolute claims. He leaves room for uncertainty. In an industry obsessed with certainty, that humility is rare. Satya Nadella did not reinvent Microsoft by tearing it down. He did it by teaching it to listen, to learn, to change without panic. That may be his greatest achievement. The lesson of Satya Nadella is not about cloud computing or artificial intelligence. It is about leadership in mature systems. How to transform without spectacle. How to grow without forgetting responsibility. And how to stay relevant after you already won. The open question remains: can Microsoft keep this mindset as pressure grows, as competition intensifies, as technology accelerates? Because transformation is not a moment. It is a habit, and habits are hardest to maintain.